However, if you look on page 46, this is going to, sorry, I got little tabs so it's easier for me.
46.
Page 46, this is going to be our long-term debt note. And so this is something that we've discussed in the past, and we've discussed it ever since it was implemented several years ago. This is the net pension liability. And again, as we've discussed in the past, you could take every bit of money today and throw at these liabilities and pay them down to zero, and next year you're probably still going to have a net pension liability because it is completely 100% out of the city's control. And so you can sit there and see under in the left-hand column, primary government, you have governmental activities. So the net pension there has an beginning balance of 1.7 million. Well, your ending balance is 4.3 in your pension liability. And again, it's out of your control, but that shows right just in that one activity how much it's already increased. So then we look at your business type activities. Again, beginning of the year, 332,000, end of the year, 1.2 million. Component units, beginning of the year, 1.1 million, end of the year, 4 million. So again, completely out of your control, but that does sit there and explain the increase in your liability. So, again, when people see those type of increases, generally there's alarm bells go off. But again, based on what we already know about the pensions, there's no reason for alarm here. And also, I'd like to say, if you really want to dive into these, you got 10 pages of notes this year. So again, as I say in the past, this note's going to continue to grow, and I keep having to buy bigger and better binders to hold this thing together. So, but again, those pages are 49 through 59, and that's going to be your pension liability note and other employee retirement. So it's all the details and more you could possibly want to know about that. And then the fifth bullet point we have here is the city's capital assets net of depreciation. So this is, we had an increase over prior year of 2.3 million. This is largely made up of construction in progress. So you can look on page 9 of the management discussion and analysis. And under capital assets, you can see we're very consistent throughout until we drop down that construction in progress. If I remember correctly, and unfortunately I do look at a lot of numbers on a weekly basis, I believe that a lot of that is going to be your street, if I remember correctly. So I think you're looking at probably over $1 million on the street, and then you have some FAA airport related items there that are going to make up the rest of that, and then you have some small miscellaneous items. Again, if you want me to go into too much detail on that, I'm going to have to get a little bit of refresher and probably get back with you, unless Cindy wanted to chime in. And like I said, I know that was kind of a quick rundown, but again, this is basically where you are. And so, you know, if you have any further questions, we can look at them again. If there's something that we don't know off the top of our head, we're more than happy to do the research. We have about 3 files worth of paper files with this, and I don't know how many megs worth of digital data that we've dug through. So again, bear with us if you want to get into too technical.
And you said that wrong, we have 3 boxes.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3 boxes. So, 3 boxes. Apologize. Does anybody have any questions?
If I could just add one thing, just for the board's perspective, when we talk about pension liabilities, that's a little above my wheelhouse. I'll let Chad tell you more about that. But what I would say is, when they talk about pension liabilities, we're not behind in any payments of what we owe on our payrolls. We pay our required APRs and lot fee payments monthly. This really has nothing to do with what the city's behind those payments, we're not. This has more to do with my understanding, the larger pension system. Obviously they're invested in money, they're invested, and if they lose money, that loss is going to be distributed among all the participants, and so it's some amalgamated number out in the netherworld. But just to let, I just want the board to know, we're not behind on any payments that we owe the system. What the system can do to us that we've seen in the past, they can come in, I think they do it every 6 months, they review the rates. They can come in July and say, hey, Hope, you're not paying 15.32% anymore, you're gonna pay 18%, and we just have to eat it. So, I mean, that's just the way the pension systems work. I think a lot of people went up this year from 23.5 to 24. And they just tell us, gotta go up, and we have to go up. In my opinion, these systems are not sustainable, but that's the J.R. Wilson opinion, and not the state of Arkansas. But these are tough systems to be in, because you just have no control over your costs.
Was there something?
Well, I was gonna say, JR hit it exactly. A lot of it depends on what the investments do in general. And something else you have no control over. Stock market goes up, that's one reason you have the lower pension liability in 21. It goes back down, you have a higher pension liability. And there may be some actuaries in here, I'm not one of them. They based everything on actuarial numbers. What's life expectancy for everyone in the system in the state? What is the mortality rate? So you have no control over it, and we have no control over it.
And again, as you know, the past decade, we've seen very strong markets. And so now that we're moving more into more of a volatile market, you're gonna see these swings. So again, it's all out of our control, and this note's gonna grow every year. So, and that's just the way it is.
Hey, one other thing that was mentioned, Chad, was the police department. Was that due to the building, the additional, we added on to the, was that, did that, some of that get paid in 2022? Would that have been right around
Well, you had the salaries too, like, and.
oh, that was the,
The $5,000.
Yeah.
that was the
Stipend.
state funding,
Right.
so just wanted to let you know. So this wasn't a decision that we made to increase that. That was the state's decision to pay every sworn police officer with so much service and under some rules, $5,000 each. That was part of it. And what was the other part? That didn't equal the whole 300,000.
Care about the funds, right.
We also gave the bonuses too, from, what is that, 22? We gave the bonus.
And that was the
ARPA
board's
funds.
bonuses.
Yeah.
Okay.
from ARPA.
So just to let you know, this wasn't an arbitrary, we're gonna raise. This was back in 2022, correct?
Yeah, actually, at the beginning, when we decided to give everybody a bonus, kind of a cost of living type thing, we did that.
That's that money. Well, that's part of the COVID kind of money we use for that.
That's some of the ARPA. Yeah, some of the ARPA. So anyway, I just wanted the board, when you hear that, you may think, gee, why are they going up so much in PD and nowhere else? I wanted to at least explain that to some extent.
All right, any other questions? Well, JR and Cindy have our contact information. So again, when we sign an engagement letter, we're there for a year. So if y'all have any questions, give us a call, send us an email. We'll be happy to address anything. If I need to make another trip down here, I'm more than happy to. I love the city of Hope, so. All right, well, we
Thank
appreciate you.
Yeah,
We love you guys.
yeah, thank you for helping us work through this with the new regulations,
Pardon?
with the new regulations.
Well, and there's, and actually, I enjoyed my time at the police department. They were very helpful and wonderful. There are, and I drive the speed limit until I hit the city limits. So don't let her fool you when she complains about my driving. But there are some, every year there's the auditing standards they can change. There's some different things that sometimes we have to look into. One thing coming out with the city is, that would involve the police department is speed traps that we're gonna have to do audit work in the future. So when we hear those type of things, we contact our clients and make sure that y'all have plenty of notice that, hey, this is something that we're gonna have to be focused on. It's different from next year. Don't be alarmed. It's just what the standards call for. So again, we like to keep our clients educated on the different changes that are gonna occur, so nobody's surprised. So anyway, and so as we do hear of other things, we'll be in top contact with JR and everyone and be like, hey, this is what we're gonna be looking at, so. All
Good
right,
deal.
well, we appreciate
I
it.
have one other thing to say. Since Chad makes me do some work, it's such a pleasure to work with Cindy. She does a beautiful job. She keeps up with things. She is organized. When I ask for something or Chad asks for something, we get it right then. So that's just wonderful. A little bit unusual in auditing, but it's wonderful.
Good deal.
Thank y'all very much.
Okay, y'all have a safe trip.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your coffee on the way back.
Already have one cup, we'll probably have to have 3 more.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to back up to the proclamation on the, Lonnie's not here tonight. We're going
You don't
to,
have, you don't have to read it if you want to.
I'll read it later. Well, I'll read it, I don't know. I tell you what, this is something that we need to take a moment and really think about is the American Indians and their people, because, you know, they are definitely part of the history of America. So we really want to take time to, I'm going to read this for you. Whereas the history and culture of this great nation was significantly influenced by American Indian people, whereby the contributions of American Indians have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today, and whereas their customs, traditions are respected and celebrated, a part of the rich legacy throughout the United States, whereas National American Awareness Week began in 1976 and recognized and expanded by Congress and approved by George Bush in August of 1990, designated the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month, celebrating as the cultures and education and historical activities that have been planned this month. Now therefore, I, Don Steele, as mayor of the city of Hope, Hempstead County, proclaim this week, this month, National American Indian Heritage Month. And I urge all citizens to celebrate this with. So let's thank Bonnie for bringing this to us and celebrating the culture. So we'll move on to item 7. Like we're going back on the railroad.
We are. So I would like everybody to know that we've been very, I think Kenneth would agree, we've been very successful on the railroad. I think over the last 5 years, Catherine and I and street department and industrial partners, we all got together and really wanted to try to do a better job at maintaining the rail, because at one time in our history we were spending a lot of money on derailments, and we were spending $20,000, $30,000, and that doesn't do anything to the rail. That just picks up the cars that are falling over and puts them back on the rail. So obviously we began to realize, hey, look, that's just not the way to spend the money. We want to spend the money actually fixing rail. Since that time, Kenneth is our local expert. He has some certification in rail inspection. He works closely with the rail inspector from the railroad, and they do inspect our railroad since their UP is contracted to be on our rail and provide delivery services to our customers. So, as y'all know, we've done a lot of work over the last few years. We brought to you, we had one problem in a what we call the Hexion curve. It runs from our north switch all the way through Hexion. It's just a huge, long curve of maybe, I don't know, 800 feet maybe. Yeah. We actually removed that track over the last couple of years. We dug down because that whole area was just sinking and water was not getting off, and it was just, the track was sinking. And so we removed that whole track. We cleaned out all the ditches, we redid the dirt work, we put in geogrid underneath it, we brought in rock and ballast underneath it, and for the last couple of years, that has done really, really well. That curve is holding up really well. Now, just south of that curve, we're starting to have a new problem. And Kenneth and his crew has been out there twice raising that up. It's been out of compliance a couple of times, and we've caught it. Kenneth catches out of compliance, and one time I think the inspector did, and brought it to our attention. And they were out there and raised it up immediately, because we can just raise it up within a few, maybe half a day of work. But the problem is it's sinking right back down. So we're having that same problem. And it's about 130 feet or so of track. And what we want to do is go in and refortify that before this winter sets in, and we're in with a lot of rains and that, and then it gets to where we just can't, we're going to have a derail. Normally, you know, what we've done in the past is we bring in a dirt worker, and we bring in a rail company, they move the rail for us, we bring in dirt workers that dig the dirt, our crews bring in the rock, and we all work together as a team, but that takes 3 days. And that takes working, and that costs us more money because the companies are working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, trying to get the industries back going on Mondays. And it runs into a problem. Now, what UP recommended on this, we could fix this in like a half a day or so.
Yeah, it's gonna take about a day.
Yeah. And it's a machine they bring, it actually sits on the rail. And so it doesn't get off in the dirt and mess up your dirt, doesn't mess up everything. It sits on the rail, runs down the rail, has a big knife on it, and it cuts the dirt, cuts about 2 feet of dirt out from underneath the track, takes it out, and we have rock stacked there, and it pushes that rock and tamps it professionally. Not with a track hoe, not with a backhoe, but a professional tamping machine, and it gets everything down in there, lifts that track up, puts it down, and he said that'd be the way to go. And that's a little more expensive than what we're typically used to. This would be about a $48,000, I think it's what, yeah, $48,000 cost. We get it done in a day. And I think when we did the 300-foot sections, we're spending around $50,000 at 300 feet. So this is $48,000 at about half of that footage. So you can see it's a little more expensive. But we definitely think with the way things are now, that's the way to get in there and get this done so we don't have a problem this winter. This is outside our budgeted amount for this year, but it's not outside our expected inflows of revenue from the rail services. We get about $90,000 in rail service annually, $40 a car, and that brings in about $90,000. So far, we've only spent, what, 20?
It was less than 30,000.
Yeah, it's in the 20 range. So with 48, that pushes up close to 78, would still be well under that 90,000. We're trying to save money to bring in professional tampers and run up and down our whole line, which is very expensive. But that's the way to keep these rails really operating at peak capacity, is every couple of years we need to bring in a professional tamper as we learn more about this process. So, anyway, Kenneth, do you have anything you want to add to?
The only good thing about, and it is a little bit more expensive, the industrials won't be down at all, because we can plant it on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and that's the 2 days that UP does not come in, and they already got their cars on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we won't be, this way we're working around everybody, nobody gets shut down, we ain't gotta worry about it. In half a day, yeah, they can start running back across it because they're not removing the track. So if it was an emergency, they could come out and get something, go back in. That does make it a lot easier on all of us working with industrial.
And I take it no crews are on overtime working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
Get out
that's
of that.
and that's typically what we're having to pay. Getting something done in 3 days, we couldn't do it during the work week. So I guess what we're trying to ask the board is we're asking for an emergency waive bid ordinance to get with this company, the slowest quote of Grace Railroad. If y'all approve that, if y'all agree with our assessment and approve it, we would get with this company and get this done as quickly as possible to ensure we have a solid rail system for the industrial park.
And we've worked with Grace several times, haven't we?
Yeah, Grace has come in before.
Yeah.
We've used them. They kind of upgraded their company. They're doing a whole lot of work for UP now. That's the reason why they have this machine. They do a lot of this for UP now.
And the reason their quotes are probably cheaper is because they're local, they're Arkansas company, everybody else in Mississippi and Louisiana.
Yeah, you know, and even the companies that typically are lower than Grace, they don't even have this piece of equipment that we have worked with.
I got one question. We're talking about, are we gonna pretty well, and it doesn't matter, are we gonna fund this pretty well through our, what we get for the cars and stuff? So this won't be split among the, we usually do, when we do maintenance, we usually split it between the companies.
If it exceeds that, the
They-
amount of inflows, then we divide it between the
Yeah,
companies.
so I think it's a great idea for us to, handle it ourselves. I feel it's kind of our real, and if we got money to do it, I think it's a great deal. How many cars do we run a week when we do? Just for information. Do you have any idea? Do we run like 50 or?
We have, Cindy has numbers, and they project their numbers, and we send it, and, well, if you're doing 90,000 at $40 a car, what's that come out to? 1,000 would be 40,000, 2,000 would be 80,000, which is about, what, over 2,000 cars a year.
I just wondered how much it was used. It's used a lot more than you would think it would be used. That's one thing, yeah. Okay.
And we've got companies looking at our sites now, you know, we were on, we have some company came back for a third site visit, and they would need rail service, so, you know, that's the potential for future things as well.
I do have a question. I know this last big project that us and EDC did was Thunder. Are they using their part of it very much?
Not much.
I knew they was,
They get about, when I've been out there, they're probably getting 2 or 3 cars. And then they'll be off a week or 2, and then they'll get 2 or 3 cars. Cause they are using it a lot more than they have been.
Okay, well, we've heard the presentation. Any more questions? We'll take those, but if not, can I read? Everybody ready? All right.
This is an ordinance to waive the requirement of competitive bidding in Bar of Arkansas Code annotated section 1458-303 for the repair of the city of Hope Railroad spur. And whereas the city board of directors has determined that an exceptional situation exists for the repair of the city of Hope Railroad spur that is not feasible or practical to seek competitive bids for this item because of the urgent need by the city of Hope to have necessary repairs performed. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Directors of the City of Hope, Arkansas. Section 1, the Board of Directors of the City of Hope, Arkansas hereby determines that the requirements for competitive bidding for the repair of the City of Hope Railroad spur is deemed not feasible or practical and is thereby waived because there is an urgent need by the City of Hope to have necessary repairs performed. In Section 2, this action being necessary to the preservation of public peace, health, and safety, and emergencies hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage and approval.
Thank you, Randy. Is there, should we done a motion to set the low bid, or is that, what's that thing, are we just taking a low bid?
Well, I think if you approve this, well, I'll let Randy refer to that, but I think if you approve that way bid ordinance, you're approving
You
the,
just approve whichever one, the lowest one, yeah.
The lowest bid, we don't
You're just
need.
not having to bid it. Yeah.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure. Okay, is there a motion to suspend the rules?
so moved.
Second.
Mark Ross,
Aye.
Reginald Easter. Linda Clark. Tiffany Talley.
Aye.
Don Steele.
Aye. The motion to adopt the ordinance?
So. Second.
Mark Ross,
Aye.
Reginald Easter.
Aye.
Linda Clark. Tiffany Talley.
Aye.
Don Steele.
Aye. Motion to adopt?
Second.
Mark Ross,
Aye.
Reginald Easter.
Aye.
Linda Clark. Tiffany Talley.
Aye.
Don Steele.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, all right, item 8.
all right, we will move forward with the low bid.
Okay.
All right.
I figured we would.
And if y'all, if you feel like me to pass a motion, you
Yeah.
certainly can. All right, I just wanted to, Daryl's not here today. They're out at some training. And he and Mason both. Mason's our other IT person from the city. And they're learning about our traffic control boxes here in the city, so they can program those. There's only one person in the city that knew anything about them. That was Seth Zimmer, and Seth came to us and said, hey, I'm not gonna be here forever. I need to start training somebody else. Mason is our youngest IT person, had a lot of interest. So we sent him and Daryl went with him to learn phase 1 of this, how to program these intersection lights. So while they're out, I told Daryl I'd bring this to your attention. All Daryl really wanted you to know was that the city, the county, and Hope Water and Light, would like to continue their aerial photography projects, and that would require another flight in 2025, and that's going to have a cost to it. To do that flight in 2025, I have to sign a contract now. So I'm asking if the board would like to continue this. Certainly, I think Hope Water and Light would, I think the county would, and I think our IT people would like to continue this. It helps with assessors, it helps with locating information, it helps, a lot of the assessors. How does it help Hope Water and Light, Russell?
So in the city limits, we get down to a 3-inch. So, and we can see our poles, we can see all of our assets out there. So we overlay that with our lines and poles that we have GPS, and we use it daily.
So the problem was, Daryl brought me a contract, it was going to require, I needed to sign it to get this flight scheduled for 2025. And when I saw it, I said, well, that's committing to a lot of money, I need to bring that to the board. And so what I'm here today is asking the board to do is to commit to this future cost. There's no cost this year, there's no cost in the budget for this. It wouldn't hit us till 2025. And I think we pay over 3 years. We pay, the city pays so much, the county pays so much, and Hope Water and Light pays so much for 3 years. It'd start 25, 26, and 27, and then would be down a year, and then we start looking to sign another contract for that next 5 years. They fly every 5 years. So if the board would give me the authority to sign this contract, I'll be glad to do that and get us set for that scheduled flight in 2025.
I guess my only question is I know it's a contract, but how much?
Right.
The amount?
Well, what the current cost was,
I just wanted to be known to sign it a blank check.
The
What was
current cost for us was $9,917.
yeah, so we paid 23%, 23.25?
28.
28?
Yeah, it's right here.
Is it in there?
Yes,
Okay.
28.35 is what's in here. But I don't
Okay.
know what the new contract says, but that's how much we have. in-
So I think we're paying 28.25, I think Hope Water and Light's paying 28.25, and I think the county pays the most, because they use it the most with their assessors.
Well, the city and Hope Water and Light, so the city's only really worried about the city limits. Hope Water and Light, we get our service territory. The county gets everything else.
Right.
And they use it tons for, when they reassess, and I think there's a reassessment coming up.
And so that was a $9,000 per year, so 27 is what we have been paying over the 5-year
Well,
contract.
it was
right?
almost 10,000, so about 30.
Yeah, so we're paying about 30. But, and I'm sure it has gone up a little bit, but I don't think it's gone up a whole lot more.
Well, that was going to be my next question, is it going to go, that's not going to be effective until 2025, 26, and 27.
That's right.
Well, the board's not committing to spending the money, you're just committing that you're authorizing the city manager to execute the contract subject to the board's yearly budget. And so you can't budget, you can't authorize the city board for 2027 to spend money.
Exactly,
And
that's
so-
where I was going with this.
So 25, when you get the budget and you present the idea that we need to pay for this, then you'll have to approve it or not approve it. It'll be up to you.
It actually spells that out in the contract. If there's money that it's not allocated for this, then there's certain things that go on, but it in no way says that you have to make that payment.
Yeah. And that just wasn't in here, that's the reason I was asking the questions.
So what was the amount that we know that we're gonna get?
We don't know.
I don't have that specific.
Okay,
Oh,
we
okay.
don't know the amount, but it comes to the board every year to approve.
I thought you said it was in the budget.
It's not yet.
Oh,
It won't be budgeted till 2025.
oh, okay, I
2026,
got it
2027.
now, okay. all
But we
right.
have to sign a contract today to get scheduled for
Okay,
2025.
all
It's
right.
kind of like authorization of intent.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
all right.
That sounds better.
Yeah.
Well, you have to get on their schedule because the fly won't take place until like December of '24
Okay,
and into January, February, or whatever of '25.
all right.
Thank you, Randy.
Okay, this is just starting the process. Is there a motion that JR sign the contract to get it started?
I make a motion that we authorize JR the renewal aerial photography contract.
Second. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. Item 9.
The easier stuff. Hey, before you have your budget, for 2024, the budget proposal, anyway. I hope you'll just take this home with you, and for the next couple of weeks, take a good look at it, and we'll discuss it. We'll set it on our meeting to begin discussion of this at our next meeting. Also, you should have some budget notes in there that helps you, gives you a quick understanding of maybe what got changed, what's different from the past. And so that's there as well to help you and guide you. I wanted to let you know, I did receive a notice from ADEQ that our appeal for use of the post-closure fund was denied. So we denied using it to begin with, we made our argument and on appeal, and that was denied as well. We are going to have to fund this landfill remediation project. ADEQ is requiring it, it is a requirement. I do not have a time frame. They didn't say, JR, City of Hope's got to get this done by X date, or we're going to start fining y'all so many thousands of dollars. We don't have that. And we've been dealing with this for the last 5 years. I can tell you that this has to get done. We've been working with engineers on what to do. We finally got an agreement on what to do. So we got the plan's approved. So I think ADEQ's approved the plan. Our engineers want to sit down. We did put in our new monitoring well that they required us to put in. We put in a new monitoring well, and that's working now. But we're gonna have to solve this issue. It's gonna be around $500,000. The sanitation cannot absorb this with current rates. We will have to consider raising rates or find another funding source. Which so far I have not been able to find another funding source. I did talk to Southwest Planning and Development District. They don't think it qualifies for any money they have. I think the way the state and other people look at this is just a normal course of business issue, and you should be incorporating this into your rate structure. If I find out something different, I will let you know, but if not, we're gonna have to figure out a way to fund this $500,000. Cities can borrow money up to 5 years without going through bonds. They can do that through a bank loan. Of course, those bank loans are typically higher percentage rates, but what you beat is you're not buying bond law, you're not paying bond lawyers, you're not paying underwriters to sell bonds. There's some expense trade-off. So we could look at that, but it may be something we could even, the thing I had thought about was for our wastewater, we have a debt service rate of $10.50 a month, and we have a usage rate. That's not something we have within our sanitation structure. All we have is you pay what the sanitation rate is. We could move to, hey, we need a debt service rate. And maybe that's $3 a customer, maybe that's $4, maybe that's $5 a customer. Our customer base right now is around 3,400, 3,500, something like that. If you had a $5, let's say at 3,000 at 5, that's $15,000 a month, that's $150 in 10 months, it's $180,000 a year, right? $180,000 a year. To finance $500,000, you could finance it in three years probably, and be done with it. And then that debt service could help us with our bond payments and free up sanitation a little bit in their expenses. And that might be an easy way to do it. It's just a $5 cost per month. That may be an easy way to do it. That's one way that I thought about proposing to you to do it. Anyway, that's something we can decide later. But that is coming down the road, you have a decision to make, and I'll bring you some other options to consider. Our CIP plan has been signed off on. We've sent that to the FAA. It was due, I think, by last Friday. And so we got that completed with Garber engineers to help us in that regard for every CIP plan. And CIP stands for Capital Improvement Plan. It has to do with our airport. So we have those future monies that we expect to receive planned out for the next 5 years. So FAA and Arkansas Aeronautics, they get copies of this and they look at it and they kind of keep it in mind as they have discretionary buckets of money beyond what we're entitled to. And they look at, like if it's a runway safety project, something really bad needed for something safety, you may rise higher on the list of getting discretionary funding versus if you're trying to do something just economic. Also, we did have our third site visit with Project Ozark, and that was a very good visit. Russell was there, I was there, Anna Powell was there, Darrell was there, the president of the company, president of the company actually came to this site visit, and so it was, I think what we're being told is they really like the site, and that we could be at the top of the list. So hopefully it is. I mean, we'll see as we develop. But that could be an opportunity. I wanted to say thank you to everybody for allowing me to take vacation with my wife after we finished up our business trip to San Diego with International Chiefs of Police on a committee I sit on, and then after that we kind of just went up the California coastline and did some sightseeing, went to Alcatraz and went to the San Francisco Bay, that kind of stuff, and went up to the redwoods and played around in the woods a little bit. I appreciate y'all letting us do that. And also, tomorrow you'll see our flags. So our flags have come in, they're all put together. We had we're going to do our flags. There are going to be 50 flags, what we bought. They're 2 foot by 3 foot on a 6 foot pole. They're like 4 foot in that diameter range, I believe. So they're going to be up downtown. They're going to go down Main Street and 2nd Street, kind of make a cross through downtown, and the street could be starting when tomorrow, about 11?
Probably 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so they're going to start putting them out 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And so you'll see them up, they'll be there for Veterans Day. And also wanted to remind everybody, we got the Veterans Day Parade coming up on Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's all going to start at Elm and 6th Street. It's going to go down Elm to Division, over to Walnut, back to 2nd Street.
To
end-
Shover.
To
To
Shover and end there. Okay. And
Got about 70 participants.
so hopefully if you have a chance to go see the Veterans Day Parade, it'll be to Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Hope you get a chance to do that.
And also, the following day, the celebration at the old courthouse, 11 o'clock. It's going to be, Lions Club is graciously, they won't have fish, so we have lunch for everybody. It's free to all veterans and their families, and for everyone else, $10. But, I was telling somebody the other day, these people have left the United States and went and fought in other countries. We need to make time one day a year to just go out and show our gratitude to these veterans. And I know everybody's busy, but 11 o'clock at the old courthouse, just come out and show your support. Just even the veterans that passed away, I hope families come out and they can celebrate my dad was in World War II, and I think that generation's just about already gone. But we do have a lot of Vietnam vets, Iraqi and other vets. And I hope the vets can all come out for Friday. We have some special floats for them to be on. But if you can, come by Saturday. 11 o'clock at the old courthouse. We're gonna have the big tent up, and it's gonna try to make it a special day for them, so I hope you can make it. Any other thing from the board before we go
Well,
into
just
citizen
with that, Don, it's
requests?
been 22 years since we've had a Veterans Parade at Hope. So I think, there's a lot of veterans that has not gotten things, especially the Iraqi and Desert Storm. Those guys have not been recognized in Hennessy County very well. So I think this would be a good time for everybody to come out and support them.
You really don't know, I mean, I don't, I just never have been in service, but leaving your homeland and going to another country, a lot of commitment, so my hat's off to them. But, yeah, and I want to thank all the people that got involved with this. We got a really good group from the county and the city and all the civic clubs to get behind this, so I appreciate all their support. Okay, any other thing before we go to citizen requests?
I have a question about the county jail and how that's going to affect the police department.
Well, I don't think it's gonna have much of an effect. I think it's, they're about a week or two out maybe on finishing up. I was talking to one of the guys the other day, and they thought they were getting closer.
Yeah, I think, we've had lots of jackhammering. That's probably been the biggest way. The smell in the beginning was a problem, but it didn't keep us from doing our jobs. And most recently, as they find other problems and are working to fix those problems, they're having to do a lot of digging. And so there's been some jackhammering that has kind of disturbed our PSAP, our 911 center a little bit, but they were able to work around it, and they're really good about warning us, going, hey, we're doing good money, so we kind of know what to expect. But I think we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, so it's not been terrible.
Last time I was over there, there were 7 holes in the slab, and I'm not talking little holes. I'm talking big ones, and they're having really a lot of problems with the plumbing and settling of that building. I think both of them, they've got a mess over there. They're getting, every time I talk to anybody over there, it's gonna be about 2 weeks, and it's always 2 weeks, and so hopefully they're getting to the end result of it. But they said they were putting some foam down in some of those holes, and those foams, there's a lot of voids under the slab. And that foam puts so much pressure on the slab, it'll actually raise the slab. And they put like a device on the slab, they can tell when that pressure starts to move that slab, they stop. They know about how to fill those voids and what protection.
Hamburger,
I was talking to the judge and the sheriff, and those doors shutting over there that hadn't shut in a long time. Like years and years and years, so they're definitely getting leveled up again, so it's a good thing.
JR, speaking of 2 weeks and 2 weeks and 2 weeks, what about 6th Street?
Oh, well, 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks times several hundred.
Times 2.
I have talked to, just to keep everybody apprised, I have talked with the state inspectors. I did authorize a change order. There was no cost to the change order. Evidently, in the plans, it called for like an 18-inch curb, but when they went to take out the old curb, the curb was actually larger than that. And so there was gonna be this void, so there was an extra cost, and they'll be filling that in with some concrete, so there wouldn't be a space there, just a little bit of dirt there. And so we approved that, but they traded off some other things that were over it on some other issues, so. Right now, they're still even, but they are coming to me and they're saying that in the future, there'll be another change order on asphalt, because I think the engineering didn't get the asphalt correct. They didn't account for the road doing like this. They considered it as just a rectangular piece of material that you go in, but actually that road goes like this, so there's a lot of raising, and they're going to have to do a lot more asphalt work, so that's probably going to be coming as a change order too. Also, the state has its own way of dealing with, the state has certain rules on, liquidated damages, and they have certain rules on certain times of year the contractor doesn't have to work. They're not pushed to work. They get those days free. So I don't fully understand those rules. I'd have to get them written down, but the inspector's just telling them to me. But nonetheless, we're still a ways out, and there's probably no big push. they did ask me, the contractor this was designed to do in 3 phases. So we're in the first phase now, and then the next phase would go from Grady to Hervey, and then the third phase would go from like Hervey to the railroad track. Well, they wanted to put phase 2 and 3 together, and they asked me if that was okay. And when the inspector and I, the state inspector and I, we got to thinking about that, we thought, I don't know if that's gonna be okay. Because that's gonna cut off a lot more intersections, cause a lot more problems for the school. And we don't think that's a good idea, so we did not approve that. And so, they thought if we had approved it, they could've gone faster. I don't know if that's the case.
I hadn't seen that speed yet.
But, both the inspector and I got thinking, I think that could be a problem, so, I kind of agreed with him, and we just said, no, let's just leave that in phase 1, 2, and 3. And, that would have a little more traffic ability to move around in that area.
Is there any penalty for, is there any deadline?
Yeah, so there is a penalty, and it, we didn't do this contract, nor did our engineers, it's all done through the state, and the state has specific guidelines, and he said they do, when they go 1 day over, they charge liquidated damages, he said they do, just by a matter of course. But they also have special rules on, like through these winter months, that time doesn't go against them. They got from a certain day of the month to another day in some month through the winter, they don't have to work at all. So they get a lot more leeway.
You know what that is, don't you? That's hunting season, Christmas, Thanksgiving.
I guess it's meant to be in the bad weather, and they don't get to arguing over rain days and which ones we could work, no, we couldn't work, they argue about that. I can find more out about those rules and bring you a copy if you'd like to see them. But he did say if they do fall in, if they fall past their guidelines, they do charge liquidated damages. And I said, well, okay, if that happens, how does that work? He said, well, the state would recover any portion of the money it has, and the city would get a portion too to help recover it. So I think it could be distributed if that happens. Anyway.
Okay. Anything else? If not, citizen request? Just state your name and then we'll be ready to listen, okay?
Okay. Good afternoon, I'm Michelle Thomas. I'd like to ask you guys a question. Could you tell me what the median income for Houston County is?
Average citizen, I'm gonna say it's probably in the 35
Say
range.
31.
It's pretty low.
Yeah, it's under $40,000.
Yeah.
Do you know what the poverty rate is?
Yeah, about 35%.
Do you know the demographics of it?
Yes. Do you want me to say them?
No, I'll tell you. 14% Hispanic, at 14% white, double that, 29% African American, 20% Latino. I have one question. If you all vote on our livelihood with this 15% increase, make sure you know those questions. Okay, make sure you know the answers to them, because I don't know, the 15% may not hurt you, but it's gonna take my light bill from $228 to $262. Now another $5 for something else? We don't have that money in Hope, Arkansas. We don't make that type of money in Hope, Arkansas. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to clarify, because I was going to it when you was talking about landfill. Landfill has been a money saver for the citizens of Hope since we put it in. We could have taken our trash and stuff to the Great Southwest, but it would have been probably a third more taking it. So we've saved money at the landfill. When we put that first cell in, we put it in just exactly like ADQ told us to put it. We followed all the regs and everything else. Did not have a liner in the bottom. Since then, they've said we need to put liners in the bottom of those big piles of trash we take out there. So instead of ADQ saying, hey, we probably made a mistake when we didn't tell you to put a liner in there, it's coming back from us. But this is something the board knew about 20 years ago when I was on the board, we knew what the chances we were taking when we put the landfill in at Guernsey. We accepted the challenge of saving the citizens of Hope money throughout the years. This is just part of them, I hate to say penalizing us for having our own landfill. Because we're one of the only cities, I think there's only 2 or 3 in the state maybe now that has their own landfill. I mean, so we have saved money, and I do agree that what they're putting on us right now is coming from the top down. It's not like we're trying to, and we're gonna try to ease this in as best possible. And I do agree that dollars are dollars.
They are.
And it's going, but I think everybody on the board is gonna try to make this figure out, and if we can find a way to get some grant money to pay for this, hallelujah. But we're gonna keep looking for free money, I guarantee you. But, when the state tells us we're gonna start being penalized, we're gonna have to come up with something. And this is the way it's going, right now, this is what we're looking at.
And maybe to add to that, we're gonna be doing a little over $4 million in work all through grant funds, this next year. We got 3, well, I'll say it's gonna be a loan, ANRC loan, low interest loan of 1.75%. It's $3,498,000 low interest loan. And then we're doing, the board has already kind of tentatively approved using ARPA funds for our UV project, and which is gonna be about $650,000. So that's, we're doing I share your concern, I really do, and we all do up here. As we look at these numbers, I think we look very hard, how are we gonna make this stuff work at the cheapest rate possible? And knowing it's a difficulty on our citizens, we know that.
In an audit report this year, I put a story about sanitation fund lost $342,000. So we lost that, even though if the rates we're making, we're still losing $350,000 a year if we keep everything just like it is. So, I mean, to be good stewards, we got to make it where everybody, it's all paying itself out. I mean, that's just being a good steward. But like I say, we'll be looking at different ways. And I hear it every day. People come by the shop and we talk about it. I mean, we're being taxed to death, so we need to be a good steward. Anything else from the citizens? If not, appreciate everyone coming, and we're adjourned.
President, do you got anything on your kids or anything?
Same with this Wednesday, there's, well, the Wednesday, that should during the summer. Yeah, the key.